Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another video review from Fanboys Forever, and today we have a special look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins mini comics version of Tri-Klops. This was the winner of the fan vote that Mattel had many moons ago, seems like forever ago now, but the way that they decided to offer it was on their successor to Matty Collector, their old direct-to-consumer site, Mattel Creations, and we finally have it in. So let's go ahead and take a look. As you can see, this part of the shipper box is very ornate. It looks fantastic. You have the old Masters logo, the Mattel logo, and then the mini comics title with some artwork that's kind of homaging the old mini comic. It's called The Terror of Tri-Klops, and that's a great read if you haven't. Of course, that was Tri-Klops' first appearance in the mini comics, and he wore the outfit that we're going to be looking at on the figure today. And because Tri-Klops is so boastful, we have on the other side that he is indeed the fan vote winner. We have some fantastic artwork. These shipper boxes are really a sight to behold. They're really nice. Once you open up the shipper box, you get this guy. And speaking of sights to behold, here is Mini Comics Tri-Klops in all of his kind of goofy vintage glory. So just a little bit of background about this particular version of Tri-Klops. He is based on his first mini comic appearances. There's probably about 3 different appearances he makes in this costume, and it's an interesting one. At that time, production wasn't as streamlined as we would see it be now, and instead they had to work off of early concept artwork that Mattel provided the artists. Of course, this was the early concept look for Tri-Klops until they streamlined the design quite a bit. The same exact thing happened with Trapjaw and several of the other characters who continued to change and evolve to be more like their toy counterparts as the line went on. Here we have a great homage to the original with this special Warriors ring, and I do believe that is just the same ring that we got in the Classics release. We have some cool new art back there that's representative of the old mini comic. Doesn't it kind of look like he's wearing Wonder Woman's boots? It looks almost exactly the same. Here's his wild mini comics costume, and you can see at the top of the card there that he is the fan vote winner. On the back, we have this fantastic recreation of that original mini comics artwork. This is just so nice, and I'm very impressed with this. It shows just a lot of love for that original source material and is just kind of emblematic of what Origins has been so far. It definitely is a line for the fans and seems to just be taking aim directly at the heart of the fans and just trying to please them and make them as happy as possible with the products. Let's go ahead and take this guy out of the packaging. Now, I'll be honest, this is one of those times, one of the only times where I kind of hesitate a little bit because this is just so nice, and the packaging is so different from what else we have in the line. Even if you look at the top there, you can see that it is unpunched as well. So I know that that means a lot to some folks. It doesn't quite mean as much to me. Let me know down in the comments what your take is. Are you a mint and box collector, or are you like me and you open practically everything? So let's go ahead and open the guy up as carefully as I can. I can just tell you that this just really isn't a collector-friendly packaging, so you're not going to be able to preserve it exactly. You can see I've ripped some of the backing there. I mean, I think I did okay, but still, I mean, you know, your results may vary. And here he is, the man of the hour, Tri-Klops. So let's just have a look at the figure from top to bottom. Looking at the head sculpt, it's funny with Tri-Klops, you're going to have several different things you're going to talk about. You have his angry eye, as I always say. And then this is on there pretty well because you can see as I tried to turn it, it turned the whole head, so it's on there fairly tight. You can see you have kind of the green eye and the blue eye, which seems to be more of what I see of him in the art. But to me, the angry face always kind of goes with a more intense red eye right there. So I definitely see that. I'll also be talking about paint as I go through. And this is the first of many little points of slop that I'm going to show you. You can see here that there's like a speck of almost green or something there. I'm not really sure. It could be some of the black showing through. And there's some overspray errors over here and some underspray errors over here. So you're going to see the paint quality is not quite the best as it goes through. And also with the visor up here, you can see that there's a tiny little bit of imperfections in the plastic where it came out of the mold, but that's all right and doesn't bother me so much. It's more the paint problems kind of bother me a little bit. Nothing too major. As we go on down, you can see his kind of outrageous looking tunic that he wore in those mini comics. And this is made of kind of a soft, malleable, kind of rubbery material. You can see that we have another little paint blemish right there, which of course I'll take a little bit of white acrylic and just put on that, but I'm not going to doctor up a figure before I show it to you. That would not be representative of the product. And I really like all the little details here, but there's some things, like from a visual perspective, that are a little jarring just from design work, which is this kind of sash that he wears, and it almost looks like Christmas lights in a way. But I know that these are supposed to be kind of, I guess, representative of almost like eye shapes or discs or something. I'm not really sure, but I'm glad that they changed Tri-Klops' look before we eventually got that old figure. You can see he's got some lime green going, and maybe not quite enough green paint up here to cover that. You can see a little bit of the red showing through, but it's something you would have to look for. You can see the furry shorts right there and the green belt. This is removable, going on down to his Wonder Woman boots. These would be, I guess, and this looks pretty good from this angle, right? Even if this isn't quite aligned, you know, nothing's perfect. But if you look right here, we have some few little problems right here. It's nothing too major, and once again, I'll probably touch that up myself, but I probably shouldn't have to. Moving on to the back, you can see I have the sword in the holster there. I'll just take that out, and you can see that sash just comes on around. And I kind of like it visually better from the back than I do from the front. I feel like that these rectangles look a little bit better than those wild kind of ovals on the front. You can also see that there's a few little paint imperfections right there. And with anytime you're using a really bright kind of limey color and you're putting it on a darker one, things like that could happen. So overall, I think visually he matches the comic, the source material, really well. And it's really cool to get this version of Tri-Klops because I don't think he's ever been available. But I think from a visual perspective that this is more of a nostalgia thing. It's more for the people who remember that old mini comic, and it definitely works too in the context that they have it in the continuity of these toys, which is kind of a mishmash of different things, sort of like Classics was. If you look on the back of the Origins of Evil packaging, then you'll see this cool piece of artwork. And sure enough, if you look in the background, you'll see things like the Red Beastman and the new version of Evelyn, and of course Keldor. We have Cronus, and then over here we actually have Trapjaw in this look, along with the newer version of Merman. So this is supposed to be your kind of prototype bad guys team right here. So it's good that they found a way to incorporate those old mini comics designs into their own kind of toy continuity. So looking at the sword he comes with, this is just a reversioning of the one that we'd seen previously. This one has more paint on it though, because it has the nice kind of silver paint application right here. And I really like that and wish we would see it on a lot more accessories in the line. We also have a bright yellow handle here with the eye on it. And I think that it kind of goes with the sort of jarring look of these crazy colors. And it kind of sets everything off. It's definitely the kind of figure that I'll have the sword out in his hand the whole time and not in the back, because it just makes it that much crazier. And this is definitely supposed to be that kind of vintage, you know, whoa, kind of overload of color. Let's go ahead and have a look at the articulation scheme. It's everything you would expect from an Origins figure, just side to side, up and down. The arms go all the way around, of course. They can hinge out way far like that. There is a cut at the elbow. There's a single joint. There's a joint at the wrists. There's swivels as well. Of course, it can swivel right here at the waist. The legs can go all over the place because of the ball joints. It can go up about that far. Single joint at the knee. It does swivel right here. It swivels also at the boot. And there's a hinge right here at the ankle. And there's a little bit of ankle pivot too. So it's just enough to get to do a lot of the things you couldn't have ever dreamed of doing with your old vintage toys. But it doesn't so much alter the sculpt or make it look bad in any way. So I actually think it's pretty effective. He does come with one other accessory, which is this funny ring right here. I really like it. And if you open it up, you can see that there's some logos right here from Masters of the Universe. So it's pretty cool. You can keep, I don't know, maybe what, a quarter in there, maybe. Will it fit a grown man's finger, ring finger? I'm trying here. Okay, a little tight. You can see that it's squeezing a little bit, but yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, it works enough, I guess. I wouldn't want to break the thing, so I probably won't do that very often. But it also glows in the dark, so let's have a look at that. Ooh, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty glowy. I just charged it up with my studio light, so yeah, it works. I do think this is the exact same thing that we got with the Classics release. Let's go ahead and do some comparisons. So the most obvious one by far is just the comparison with his regular Origins counterpart. And you can see that there's quite a few differences going on. For one thing, the tunics are completely different, and those are just totally different pieces. Even the skin tones are quite a bit different, with this one being a little bit darker and this being actually a little orangey, which does suit that original artwork. And you never know what the intention was with that artwork. Maybe the intention was that he wasn't quite human anyway, and maybe he had like a kind of a different skin tone that was a little more fanciful, and that's why it's a little more on that orangey side. You can see that the furry shorts are the same, of course. The boots are totally different though, so that's interesting. And the swords are the same sculpt, but they do possess completely different color schemes. So it's cool to see them side by side. I actually don't own a Classics Tri-Klops, so here he is just beside a regular Classics figure, just to give you an idea of what kind of size we're talking about. And because Tri-Klops isn't out yet in Masterverse, I'll go ahead and put him beside of this Masterverse figure. Yeah, he's what I had laying around. You know, the Scarecrow review. Watch it if you haven't. And if you want to see him with the boys right here, here he is alongside of his master, Keldor. And here we have the whole gang together, or prototype supervillains. They look great together, and I think the colors really work. Now just to get that red Beast Man, so hopefully that'll be here soon. So here's something fun they didn't have to do. Tri-Klops even includes an actual little mini reprint of the original Terror of Tri-Klops mini comic. Just to give you a look on the inside, there's nothing here that wasn't in the original. They've not added even like a little ad or something like that. Bizarrely, it doesn't even have a back cover. It just does this on the back, and that's the end of the comic. This is a really cool story, and be sure to check it out. Of course, I also own the giant tome of mini comics, so I already have it in one form, but it's cool to get it in the original mini comic format. And just for fun, we'll get the new kid on the block over here for comparison. And you can see that Tri-Klops is a little bit bigger than him. These do appear to be in a slightly smaller scale than the Origins figures. And just so you can see, yes, it is very possible to just switch the heads out. It's also very easy, but why would you want to? The skin tones look atrocious, matched incorrectly with the bodies, with the heads. So you can do it. So overall, I'm really happy that we got this guy. And I do think he represents kind of a new era for the Origins brand, where we're going to see more and more releases that are direct to consumer on Mattel Creations, and that's for better or worse. We know that the online buying experience can be a really frustrating one. So here's hoping that all of that gets lined out. At the same time, it's probably going to be the only way we can get some things that are a little more obscure, although they've done a great job of bringing a lot of those things to general retail, as all of the guys in the back really have done that so far. Also, even though Sunman was recently an exclusive on the site, it does appear Sunman will also get a general release along with other characters from that line. So I guess at this point, Mattel's just going to be selective about which obscure characters end up on the Mattel Creations site. Now, this guy was a little more expensive than a standard Origins figure, so that's a little frustrating, but I also understand that he's more of a limited item, and you know, that's the name of the game right now. Because of that, it's kind of weird to me that the production paint maybe wasn't quite as strong as my standard Tri-Klops that I got for 15 bucks. It's a little disheartening to see that even though we pay a premium price, we don't necessarily get premium production. This is something that Mattel's going to want to tighten up on as they go through and do more Mattel Creations releases. The last thing that they want are major QC issues that are getting out of the factory and then having the consumers talk about it online and create kind of another Matty Collector situation. Of course, history seems to always be doomed to repeat itself, but I do want to remain overall positive because I do think the figure turned out nicely. Of course, there's always going to be little paint blemishes and imperfections, but that's just the name of the game when you're into this. Here's hoping that they can limit those to an absolute minimum going forward in the line. And there's nothing here that would be considered a deal breaker for me. Just something for Mattel to keep an eye on. Alright friends, I want to thank everybody for watching today, and thank you for subscribing and liking or disliking the video. I really do appreciate all the feedback that I get and love all the comments. Thanks for being such an active fan community and really helping the channel grow. Of course, keep an eye out as we're doing all kinds of Masters of the Universe videos all the time, so if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a perfect time to do so. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.